turn the meeting over. Vicki, do you have administrative comments you'd like to make before we turn over to Josh?
I think you've pretty much covered everything. I would just like to note that we do have all of our elected officials on this call or video. Trustee Chair Josh Girth, Trustee Vice Chair Dee Stone, Trustee Andrew Pappas, and Fiscal Officer Ken Dietz, as well as a number of staff members, our Law Director Margaret Comey, myself, Vicki Earhart, Township Administrator, Steve Sievers, Assistant Administrator for Operations, and Eric Lukenbuehl, our Public Works Director, as well as Molly Moorfield, who will be taking minutes for us and recording the meeting. Turn it over to Mr. Girth.
Thank you, Vicki. Good afternoon, everybody. I'd call this meeting to order, the Board of Township Trustees special meeting on May 29th, 2020. And to start the meeting, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I move to adopt today's agenda.
Second.
Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes, and with that, we will get into the business of today's meeting, which is the continuation of the public hearing for an annual motor vehicle license tax. To open up this public hearing, Ms. Vicki Earhart, our administrator, is going to give some background as what or why, I guess, we are here. Vicki?
Thank you. Sorry for that noise. That was my door. Anderson Township is responsible for 122 miles of roadway in the township. That's more than any other township in Hamilton County, more miles. Our inventory has increased by 10% since the last road levy was passed in 1998. Maintenance includes the maintenance and repair of curbs, sidewalks, storm sewer, and snow removal, which I'm very proud of our crew for what they're able to accomplish on our roads. In addition to the roads, over 90 miles of sidewalk became a public works responsibility back in 2008 when the Board of Trustees elected to take on that responsibility. So that includes the Anderson Trail System as well as sidewalks on our neighborhood subdivision streets. Most of those sidewalks existed before 1998 when we took them over. Public Works also maintains our fleet of vehicles, and they are responsible for 4 cemeteries within the township. The 2020 budget for Public Works is $4.6 million. That's kind of broken into 2 categories. $2.9 million of that covers our personnel. We have 11 full-time and 2 temporary seasonal employees. That also covers supplies, materials, tools and equipment, fuel, property casualty insurance, tree trimming of trees in the right-of-way, repairs, cemetery maintenance, and Anderson Trails construction repair. Additional amount, $1.7 million, is tax increment financing fund dollars, TIF dollars. That covers paving, rejuvenating curb, and replacement of culvert pipes. Of the $2.9 million budget, the non-TIF dollars, our 2020 revenue is anticipated to bring in about 1.7, so not as much revenue as needed to cover the full budget. Part of that comes from a potential transfer from our general fund, a 5% share of the state's auto registrations based on road mileage, gasoline tax, which we anticipate is going to take a 20% reduction this year because of the pandemic, the fact that folks aren't driving as much. And again, that 1998 road and bridge levy that I mentioned earlier. The amount that we're receiving from that levy is greatly reduced because it's a 22-year-old levy. So we're getting about $850,000 a year from that levy. And then a motor vehicle license fee per registration, which was in place, has been in place for quite some time. One of the things that during one of our public hearings, a resident asked what we had done to reduce our costs in our Public Works Department. The list is long. I'll go through it briefly. We began reducing full-time positions through attrition back in 2007. Through that time, we've eliminated 5 full-time positions. And part of that is we went to the 2 seasonal public works employees who plow our roads for us. We outsourced mowing and landscaping and used that through a contractor. We've added quite a bit of inventory as far as the amenities to our community, 5-mile medians and some gateway areas, and we've been able to hold our costs on that through contracting that out. We have split our public works crews into 2 shifts. We have 1 crew that works 4 10-hour days and 1 crew that works 5 8-hour days. The resulting benefit to the community is we have a public works crew member on duty for 48 hours a week at straight time pay. So that increases the number of hours that we're able to serve the public without paying overtime. The township participates in the county salt bid pricing, so we save from economies of scale where other communities are bidding on that salt. We also supply the Forest Hill School District and Anderson Park District with salt that reduces the overall cost for the community. Our plow drivers in the northern area of the township, rather than driving to our salt dome to reload salt domes on Beachmont Avenue at our operations center, there's also a cooperative arrangement with Hamilton County where they can load up salt at the county barn in Newtown. That not only keeps them on the road more often, reduces travel time to load up, but it also reduces our fuel costs and staff time costs by keeping them closer to where the salt is and getting those roads cleared quickly. We have a pavement management system, which has been in place for a number of years, where every couple of years we evaluate all of our streets to determine what condition they're in, whether they're excellent, fair, poor, good, and then we determine which ones need to be repaired. We do a mixture every year instead of focusing on all of the bad streets or the poor streets. We do a mixture so that we keep everything in good shape, and we repave frequently. Our paving cycle is pretty good compared to most townships. We also, when we do go out to pave roads, we bundle the curb and sidewalk repair because that is concrete work. So by bundling those 2 and doing that, we get a better price on our concrete 1 year. Then the next year we pave the street, which helps us keep costs down. We have for years, for decades, borrowed equipment. For example, we borrow Columbia Township street sweeper rather than purchasing our own. We also share equipment with the Anderson Park District so that we can keep our costs down by sharing equipment. We have a salt loader conveyor belt that we have shared with a number of other townships, cities, villages over the years. And that also helps us keep costs down for all the municipalities that are involved in that situation. As far as the equipment that we have trailers that are 20 years old. They've been redecked and painted a number of times. Our backhoe was purchased in 1996, so it's well past its 7 to 10 year equipment life cycle. We've rather than buying radios for our public works crews, we refurbish hand-me-downs from the fire and rescue department for public works crews to use, which saves quite a bit of money. And our public works building was built in the 1950s. We've added on to it a couple of times, the storage and salt facilities in the 80s, but we still use that facility. It works well for us, and we're not looking to add on to that. One of the things that has been a big saver for our levy dollars is legislation that we sought from the Ohio General Assembly that allows us to use those TIP dollars that I mentioned for road and bridge maintenance, and also allowed us, a second attempt allowed us to use the 94 TIP dollars for maintenance of facilities and things that we built using those dollars to begin with. So for example, building repairs and mowing and things that we used to have to pay out of levy dollars, we can now use TIF dollars for, which has been a huge savings for us. We cannot, however, use those TIF dollars to pay for employees and operating costs. We have routinely applied for grants. Since 2000, we've had grants or loans exceeding $3 million for improvements in township roadways, which has allowed us to get ahead of that repaving cycle. And we are currently applying for a $5,000 grant that would allow us to replace signage along township roadways. So those are some of the things we have done and continue to do to reduce expenses. Part of what the main reason we're here today is for a motor vehicle license tax. The 133rd Ohio General Assembly in its transportation bill authorized different townships and municipalities to enact a motor vehicle license tax, $5 per vehicle. It is not for commercial vehicles. And that was an annual license tax to help defray some of the costs that or revenue that we've lost over the years. The Ohio Revised Code that allows us to consider this became effective in July of last year. And we anticipate that should the board enact this motor vehicle license tax, which would go into effect, if the board acts, it would go into effect January 1st of 2021. It is $5 per year per vehicle, and we anticipate it would generate about $225,000 annually for our Public Works Department. So unless the board has any questions, that's, or residents have any questions, that's the update.
Thank you, Vicki. Dee or Andrew, you have initial questions before we open up for public comments?
No.
Anything else to add? Okay, with that, this is a public hearing. So at this time, if anyone has any questions, comments, you may do so at this time. All right, hearing nothing and assuming Steve has everyone's microphones turned off or turned off.
Mr. Girth, I do, but I'm going to unmute those one more time, and I'm going to ask, I believe, Molly, are you with us on the phone?
I am.
Okay, so I don't see any other callers other than staff and elected officials on our system right now. I just wanted to make sure that was in the record.
Got it. Okay.
Thanks.
All right, then we'll close the public comment portion of the hearing, and we have a resolution to consider. Dee, Andrew, any comments on how you'd like to proceed?
Well, I mean, before we get to the resolution, I just want, for the record, everybody that can watch this or read the minutes to know, we've dealing with the pandemic limitations put on us by the state as far as the number of participants we can have at events. We really wanted to try to have this in person. It just didn't work out because there is a timing crunch that is dictating when we have to take action to have this go into effect. So I don't want anyone to think that there's anything we're trying to rush through during any type of restrictions for public comment. As a matter of fact, we've added this meeting just to try to increase public participation because we don't take this issue lightly. And we want just everyone to know that I feel like we're trying to afford residents every ample opportunity for their input regarding this particular subject and this particular fee to go into to at least for us to vote on it and to have your input. And having said that, I think we've done a good job. I really do wish we could have had it in person. I think that's much more personable. I think it's much more beneficial to see faces, but again, we're in strange times, and I do appreciate all the effort staff has gone to make sure that these meetings are accessible and easy for us to participate in. So that's all I have, but Dee, afford you any opportunity to comment on this, and then we can go ahead with the resolution.
No, I agree with what you said, Andrew, and we don't take it lightly, which is why we did add this extra session. So, yeah, we want to, as you said, afford everybody the opportunity to weigh in. So I have nothing else to add.
All right. With that, I would like to move to adopt a resolution levying an annual license tax upon the operation of motor vehicles on public roads and highways in the township pursuant to section 4504.181 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Second.
Mr. Pappas,
Yes.
Mrs. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Girth.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all we have for the board today.
Okay, with that, next regular board meeting will be June 18th, 2020 at 5:30. And I move to adjourn today's meeting.
Second.
Mr. Pappas,
Yes.
Mrs. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Girth.
Yes. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Happy Friday.